This time, on the world's most amazing videos, a group of robbers smash into a department store.
Later, a drunken teen gets arrested and takes a cop car on a joyride.
Plus, a drag racer loses control and smashes into a guardrail at over 200 miles an hour.
And campers are trapped in a vicious forest fire. Can they survive before they are burned alive?
Then, Mexico City is rocked when a tanker truck explodes into a monstrous fireball.
These are the incredible true life stories of people who faced their most desperate hour and lived to tell about it.
Everything you are about to see is real.
Real people, real danger, real excitement.
Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos.
Cape Canaveral, Florida. An unmanned Delta rocket carrying a $45 million military satellite is about to blast off.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. We have ignition and liftoff from Cape Canaveral Air Station of the Air Force Delta II launch vehicle carrying the new GPS-2R satellite.
Then, just seconds into the mission, an explosion rocks the Cape.
We're just had an anomaly of the Delta II launch vehicle from Cape Canaveral Air Station. We need to secure the area.
More than 250 tons of flaming debris and rocket fuel rain down from the sky. The explosion occurs so close to the ground that the area around the launch pad looks like a war zone. A piece of the rocket lands in the parking lot, creating an enormous crater. More than 24 cars are destroyed by the blast. The heat of the explosion is so intense it melts their windshields and tire rims. Amazingly, no one is injured. Investigators later determined that a 17-foot-long crack in one of the rocket's boosters was the cause of this devastating accident. Marrow, Georgia. This sleepy Atlanta suburb gets a nasty wake-up call. Burglars in a speeding pickup truck crash their way into a department store. Their goal? To make off with as many expensive items as possible. After the driver smashes through the glass doors, his backup team storms in to grab the merchandise. The security lights come on and the alarm sounds. On the tape, we can see the driver shouting orders to his crew. They've only got seconds until police arrive.
He gets out of the truck, it shows the 3 other guys running into the store following the truck, and then it shows also in the mirror where he's directing them, telling them what stuff he wants them to get.
Loaded down with merchandise, the crooks quickly flee the crime scene. But the driver's exit is about as smooth as his entrance. His truck causes even more damage as he crashes through the doors one more time. It's been a quick but lucrative hit.
They were in the store less than 1 minute. They got away with a little over $12,500 worth of designer clothes.
According to police, the plan worked because it was so simple.
You see the glass, it's large enough to get a vehicle in. You hit the gas pedal and you go in, load up, and back out. And If you can do that within a couple of minutes, you know, your odds of getting caught at that are pretty slim.
These brazen crooks think they've pulled off the perfect crime. They've managed to get in and out of the store without leaving police a single shred of physical evidence. But when this videotape is shown on the local news, police receive dozens of tips, and the thieves are eventually apprehended.
They weren't quite as smart as they thought they were this time.
If you think hazing at college fraternities is out of control, wait till you see this. Russia. These new soldiers are being brutally punished as part of a time-honored hazing ritual.
Every time you're lined up and even beaten, you're kind of following the orders of your immediate superior.
When he was a new recruit, Corporal Clementiev resisted the vicious beatings. He was disciplined for refusing to submit to the secret code of violence.
When you come to the military, you're supposed to be beaten for the first year of your service. And as soon as you cross that border of the first year, you're supposed to start that practice yourself.
In the Russian military, hazing doesn't stop at just physical abuse. Commanding officers also harass new recruits with psychological torture.
And also humiliation. For example, cleaning the toilets with your toothbrush. And in some extreme cases, you're supposed to use the same toothbrush to clean your teeth right after.
Corporal Clementiev has survived his horrifying experience. Now he and other victims are trying to put an end to this violent practice.
Living in hazing is living in constant fear. This practice should be stopped at any cost.
Coming up, a volcanic eruption releases toxic smoke and ash, devouring everything in its path.
Then, a violent earthquake destroys a church, collapsing onto people below.
And a cameraman covering a race gets a bone-crushing close-up. When the world's most amazing videos continues.
Kansas City, Missouri. This surveillance tape captures two thieves who really know how to take the money and run. The woman on the left, in the official-looking blue uniform, has just walked into this convenience store with the man in black. They tell the clerks that they have come to repair the ATM machine. But before the cashier can ask for identification, the man tells her that the machine must be removed for repairs. So he wheels it out the door on a hand truck with thousands of dollars inside. Meanwhile, the woman in the uniform hands the clerk a sign from the machine and says goodbye. But thanks to this tape, the crooks are caught and convicted for their ill-advised daylight heist. Mountains in Japan. It's a peaceful day in this sleepy little village. Until a deep rumbling thunders from one of the world's deadliest volcanoes. A tourist videotaping the scenic landscape swings his camera around just in time to capture a poisonous cloud of ash exploding over the ridge. Known as a pyroclastic flow, this eruption of 1,500-degree gas and rock speeds down the mountain, hell-bent on destruction. The volcanic blast is a terrifying sight, especially when it is bearing down on you at 200 miles an hour. The town's firefighters make a mad dash for safety, knowing that anyone caught in the cloud's killer path will not survive. Fortunately, no lives are lost during this frightening natural disaster. But this rare glimpse of a deadly pyroclastic flow is a vivid reminder of the powerful forces that lurk beneath the surface of the Earth. Assisi, Italy. Residents try to rebuild their lives following a devastating 5.5 earthquake. Construction crews work to secure the crumbling framework of the world-renowned St. Francis Basilica and the priceless 13th century frescoes that line the fractured walls of the church's interior. Across town, citizens team with rescue workers in an attempt to stabilize their most cherished landmark, a 600-year-old bell tower. The quake has left the massive structure wobbling precariously atop the crumbling pillars. But just as workers are attaching support lines, A frightening rumble thunders from below. A violent aftershock shakes the village, sending the prize tower crashing to the street. Back at the Basilica, the shockwaves strike. Terrified workers race for the door as the ceiling begins to collapse. We can see gigantic slabs of mortar and marble crash to the floor as the church is engulfed in a cloud of dust. Medical teams rush to the scene as the people inside struggle to free themselves from the rubble. Villagers will spend several months and millions of dollars recovering from this violent quake. Tragically, no amount of money can ever replace the precious works of art that were destroyed by nature's awesome fury. Evansville, Indiana. Responding to an urgent call, police officers arrive at a church parking lot. What they find is baffling. A car is circling the lot, backwards, and without a driver. A woman attending services thought she had put her car in park, but she actually left it in reverse.
And then when she stepped out, the car knocked her down and started doing circles in reverse in the parking lot.
Luckily, the woman isn't hurt, but the police still have to deal with a very serious problem. How do they pull over an unmanned car? The tank is full, and at this rate, it will take at least 3.5 days for the vehicle to run out of gas. After careful consideration, the cops devise a bold strategy. Officer Tony Hartweg approaches the car from inside the circle and smashes in the rear window with a crowbar. Then Officer Joe Fraser steps in to try to unlock the door.
That one don't work, huh? Let me just dive in there.
But the lock won't budge. After several unsuccessful attempts, Fraser is breathless and calls it quits. That's when Hartweg takes over, but he still can't get the door open, so he comes up with another plan. Hartweg climbs onto the roof and slowly inches his way towards the open door. Then the brave cop tries to lower himself into the driver's seat. Finally, he does it. Hartweg stops the car, removes the keys, and breathes a huge sigh of relief.
That's why you get the big bucks.
These veteran officers thought they'd seen it all, but this low-speed chase through a church parking lot is one they'll never forget.
In 13 years, this is the wildest ride I've had.
Still to come, a drag racer wipes out over 200 miles an hour. Is he still in one piece?
And a skydiving stunt goes wrong, sending 2 people into a death spiral.
A biker's record attempt gets demolished not once, but twice. When the world's most amazing videos returns.
Orlando, Florida. This is Reverend George Crossley, a prominent minister and Christian broadcaster. But in this secret surveillance video, the Reverend is seen climbing into a truck driven by a man he thinks is a professional hitman.
What do you want me to do to this guy?
Frankly, I either want him hurt or done in completely.
Crossley's target is this man, Butch Waldo.
To tell you the truth, I have no doubt in my mind the way I felt over the last month, I probably would have done it myself. I'd probably done a pretty terrible job.
Their long-running feud started when the Reverend had an affair with Waldo's estranged wife.
When I found out about the affair, I tried to get it stopped. I called him a few times. Each time he would say the words almost verbatim, you know, nobody's going to tell me who I'm going to see, what I'm going to do. He was talking about my wife, you know, like he had a right to continue to see her.
Worried that Waldo might make the affair public, Reverend Crossley sets out to kill him. But what Crossley doesn't know is that the hitman he's trying to hire is actually an undercover federal agent.
When I first met Mr. Crossley that evening in the car, it was very obvious to me that he had one thing on his mind, and he wanted to make sure that Mr. Waldo ended up dead.
Tell me some kind of distinguishing thing you want me to have, so when they do find the man, you know.
If they find him and he's got a bullet hole behind the ear.
Once the words came out of Reverend Crossley's mouth to put a bullet behind his right ear, there would be no doubt in my mind what he wanted done.
The hit is ordered. Now the men must agree on a price. Crossley wants to pay for the killing with guns.
In fact, I have two firearms, neither one of them are registered. One of them's in England, and it is in absolutely perfect condition. And I'm told it's right now in Ingram that's registered is worth like $650 or something.
Is this 9mm?
Yes, 9mm. It's a 9mm with a 35-round clip.
They're both clean?
It's clean. It's never been used, and it is unregistered to boot. If you want to take the 9mm.
You want me to use the 9?
Actually, I was going to make that payment toward the job. I was going to give you that.
Before the undercover agent and the Reverend part ways, Crossley hands over the weapons and plenty of ammunition.
I told you.
You're a kid, pots and everything.
That's what it is.
Normally for something like this, George, if you didn't have the weapon, I'd charge $1,000. And now you have the weapon, I charge around $500. You said $650. That's okay. Paid in full. Is that okay?
So, I'm done.
We're even.
The Reverend shakes the hitman's hand to close the deal.
When Reverend Crossley and I shook hands after he gave me the weapon, it was understood that the murder of Mr. Waldo would happen by Friday.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, George.
Take care, Steve.
This secret video and the unregistered weapons gives the police all the evidence they need to arrest Reverend Crossley.
Will the jury find the defendant guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder?
The jury sees the handshake that sealed the deal and puts Crossley behind bars. Mexico City, Mexico. A news helicopter circles the scene of a railroad crossing accident. The driver of a natural gas truck tried to outrun a train, but didn't make it. Incredibly, both the truck driver and engineer survived the crash and escaped. Now, others run for their lives. The pilot maneuvers his chopper to get a closer look. Then, suddenly, an explosion blows 8,000 gallons of gas sky high. Fortunately, the pilot is able to steer his way clear of the blast. Incredibly, only 5 people are hurt in this monstrous explosion. Memphis, Tennessee. It's Friday the 13th. But that's not about to stop drag racer Jerry Caminito from competing in the Mid-South Nationals. Thousands of fans packed the bleachers to watch him try for a new track record. Jerry's wife, Marion, a member of his crew, wishes him good luck at the starting line. He's off, rocketing from 0 to 280 miles an hour in just 7 seconds. But suddenly, there's a terrifying crash. Watch again. The dragster blows a tire, then slams into the guardrail with ferocious speed. The car is torn apart with Jerry still trapped inside. Rescue teams rush to the scene and find him buried beneath the mangled wreckage. Marion tries desperately to reach her husband as crew members hold her back. A medevac helicopter airlifts Jerry to the nearest hospital. He suffers broken ribs, collapsed lungs, and a fractured leg. But incredibly, the only thing on Jerry's mind is getting back behind the wheel.
As long as I can, I'm able to stand up, hold my own, and do everything myself, sitting in the car, I'll be able to drive the car, no problem.
Just a few months later, Jerry is back on track. He and Marion return to racing for the first time since his near-fatal disaster. This time, Jerry crosses the finish line a winner. Toronto, Canada. An elite squad from the Canadian Armed Forces soars through the air in a stunning exhibition of aerial acrobatics. Every landing is picture perfect. Then comes the highlight of their performance, the difficult quartet formation. But as the paratroopers separate and prepare to land, a change in the wind blows one of the divers into his teammate's parachute. They're tangled, and they can't get free. Mike Mountain and Kenneth Nunn crash onto a roof. Rescuers rush to their aid. The men aren't moving, and onlookers fear the worst. When rescue workers reach the first paratrooper, they help the man to his feet, much to the relief of the worried spectators. Moments later, his partner also stands. The men have survived their terrifying plunge. When they finally get back on the ground, it's amazing to see that the paratroopers are unharmed.
Okay, Mike? Oh, you're...
Grand Rapids, Michigan. When state patrol officers pull over a car for not having its lights on, they find a drunk teenager at the wheel.
Gio, I'm gonna ask you to take a breath.
The 17-year-old girl is intoxicated and taken into custody. Her hands are cuffed behind her back in what seems like a routine arrest. Then she's put into the back seat of the patrol car.
I'm a peace officer. You are under the arrest and offense of operating a vehicle while under the influence of intoxicating liquor. You understand what I read to you?
No.
What part didn't you understand?
Can you repeat it all, please?
While the girl's passenger is being questioned, the officers don't notice her climbing into the front seat of the patrol car. Somehow, she gets her handcuffed hands in front of her and onto the wheel of the patrol car. With the lights still flashing, she drives off in the arresting officer's vehicle. Her emotions running wildly out of control, she speeds through the town's peaceful residential streets. The chase is on. The cops pull in front of the hysterical girl at an intersection. But that doesn't stop her. In a daring effort to keep her from getting on the interstate, the police sideswipe her vehicle to try and push it off the road. It doesn't work. With the cops in hot pursuit, she speeds onto the highway. The girl barrels down the road at more than 100 miles an hour, with the police close on her tail. Remember, she's still handcuffed. Determined to stop her before the chase ends in tragedy, the police surround the hijacked patrol car and box it in against the guardrail. Suddenly, the girl tries to ram her way out. The officers shoot at her tires in an attempt to disable her vehicle. But then, the panicked and inebriated young woman makes another irrational move. Still using the patrol car as a battering ram, the teenager finally breaks free. Though badly damaged, her car starts weaving dangerously down the highway. Taking no chances this time, a battery of police cars meet her head-on and stop her cold. The high-speed chase ends without injury. The teenager is arrested on charges that include drunk driving and resisting arrest. Her joyriding days are over.
Campers are trapped in a deadly forest fire. How will they survive?
And how did these people dispose of an 8-ton whale? They blew it up. When the world's most amazing videos returns.
London, England. A bank robber approaches a teller and demands she hand over the cash. But employees activate a security shield, foiling his plan. The robber races to escape through the front door, but mistakenly thinks he's been locked inside. He repeatedly tries to push his way out. Too bad he can't read the sign on the door that says, "Pull." But then, an unintentional accomplice, a little old lady, opens the door and shows him the error of his ways. This video gave the police all they needed to catch and convict the confused crook. At least the cops won't have to worry about this criminal escaping from jail. It's another picture-perfect landing for skydiving champion Rick Townsend. But although he's made thousands of successful jumps, he's still haunted by the terrifying dive that nearly ended his life. Zephyrhills, Florida. Rick and 35 other divers take to the sky to perform a stunt known as canopy stacking. The team deploys their brightly colored parachutes. They carefully begin to dock on top of each other to create a diamond-shaped pattern. It's spectacular, but also very dangerous.
In canopy relative work, the most dangerous part of building formations is if you get entangled.
So far, everything is going according to plan. Rick moves into position over one of his partners, but he approaches too fast and smashes into his fellow divers.
I thought that maybe I could still get into my position, and that's when I took out 3 or 4 people with me, and the left side of the formation collapsed.
Suddenly, Rick becomes tangled in the parachute lines of 2 of his friends. Now the 3 divers are bound together and plummeting to the earth at breakneck speed. Teammate Brett Townley sees the accident from above.
When you're up there watching something like that happen, it's a real helpless feeling.
Luckily, one team member manages to break free. But Rick and the other diver are still in big trouble. Their lines are knotted and they begin to spiral uncontrollably through the air. If they can't untangle themselves within seconds, they'll die.
The last thing I saw was these guys spinning rapidly to the ground, almost like 2 balls on string. It had to have been one of the scariest entanglements I had ever seen in my 14 years of parachuting experience.
As they continue to plummet to the ground, Rick and his buddy fight to break free.
Half of his parachute's open, half of my parachute's open, and we're doing 360-degree turns. Occasionally, we're slamming into each other, which hurts a lot.
And they're falling faster and they're spinning faster, and oh my God, you know, please, please get out of this. The last thing we wanted was death or a very bad injury.
Rick's teammate finds his knife and cuts away the tangled line. Then he pulls his reserve chute and heads off for a safe landing. But now, Rick is in even greater danger. His foot is caught in the knotted cords of the two parachutes, and he's plunging to the ground, upside down.
I needed to get free from the two entangled parachutes in order for me to have a chance of using my reserve so I can have a safe landing.
Finally, Rick is able to release his foot. Then he pulls out his knife and cuts himself free. But he's running out of time to deploy his safety chute.
And then I just grabbed my reserve handle and pulled on it.
By the time he had his chute open, he probably had no more than seconds to land. It was pretty close.
I've been jumping for almost 19 years now, and this is probably one of the worst situations that I've ever been in. And I don't think I'll be forgetting this one for forever.
Sydney, Australia. 6-ton trucks rocket around the raceway. These rigs are built for the long haul, not the fast track. So keeping them under control is a real challenge. TV cameraman Gary Hannaford positions himself in a prime location as a driver heads into the turn. Suddenly, the truck spins out of control and barrels straight toward Gary. Somehow, he manages to survive the devastating impact. But when the massive rig was bearing down on him, Gary thought he was a dead man.
The last fraction of a second, I actually had the vision of the truck going over the top. And I thought, well, you know, okay, it's all over.
If not for the concrete barrier in front of him, Gary would have been killed. But for this cameraman, close calls like this are all in a day's work.
In the job I do, you have to be in the extreme situation. Many, many times that I've had a near-death experience. But that's what makes it exciting.
Beartooth, Montana. Brothers Bob and Ron Michelson ride their favorite horses, Bull and Waco, up the mountain for their annual camping trip with their buddies.
We just happened to be up there for a week and a half to 2 weeks vacation.
And we were sitting around the bus playing cards and cooking some hamburgers on the grill.
Their solitude is broken when a man shows up at camp shouting that a raging forest fire is coming their way. But it's already too late for them to escape. 7 miles of sky-high flames are blocking the only road out.
Holy shoot. And that's the only way out right there. Our hearts are just pounding. Spring's going up. This is what we got coming towards us. Not a thing we can do.
A careless fire at a nearby camp has turned the forest into hell on earth. With nowhere to run and nothing to do but pray, Ron records what he fears might be the last few moments of his life.
It's getting big. I have never seen such a thing in my entire life. It's unbelievable.
I'd never seen anything like that before. Nothing but a wall of orange flame. From the top of one mountain down to the bottom, there was just one wall of flame. It's an awesome sight to stand there knowing that you can't go out, so you just sort of hope that Mother Nature's gonna spare you.
But it nearly turned out to be a fatal mistake.
There were 4 or 5 of us in a trailer, yet you had no idea who they were. All you knew, there were bodies in there, and they were screaming to get out because it was on fire.
Burned out of their only shelter, the men are running out of oxygen. With the fire just inches away, they realize that even if they can't save themselves, they must try to save their horses. So they turn them loose.
Let's go. You ready to go? Get your coat and let's get in the creek. Well, if we're going, I'm letting those horses go before I go anywhere. They'll be the first things out of here.
We decided to let the horses go, not knowing if we'd ever see the horses again, and not knowing if we'd ever see ourselves again.
Oh, God, no chance. Yeah. No, I'm afraid you're going to have to let those horses go and just everybody for themselves. You got to get in the water and get in the creek right now.
But just when things look like they can't get any worse,
Hey, those are live rounds going off, guys.
the fire ignites a box of ammunition stored in a camper.
Oh, boy. Sound like a submachine gun down there. There's bullets going off, propane bottles. You don't know where to stand.
Every time you heard a bang, you were ducking.
Despite the danger, Ron can't stop videotaping the flames, which are about to consume him and his brother.
Put it away. Go put it away. Say your prayers, buddy.
As I was filming this, right before the fire got to us, my brother yelled at me to just get rid of the camera. And that's when the fire came down on us.
Ron and Bob know that their last hope is to take refuge in the creek.
Grab a bunch of blankets if we have to. We'll wet them down and lay in the creek. Blankets, horse blankets, whatever you can get your hands on. Okay, here it comes. Okay, gotta sign off now. We gotta go.
Luckily, the defenseless men are spared when the fire finally burns itself out.
Gary, we got our life, buddy. We got our life. Made it through the fire. A bunch of scared puppies. But everybody that hung together, we're all still here.
The smoke disappeared, and then you could actually see what had happened, and the vehicles were still burning, and ammunition was still going off, and it looked like a graveyard.
But did that graveyard include their horses, Bull and Waco? The brothers fear the worst.
Heard a noise out the driver's window of the truck and looked over, and here come both our horses right back down the trail. And
like I said, if there was a bright spot in the whole thing, that would have been it.
By that time, we were feeling real lucky and real happy. The first time I saw the video after the fire, sitting down on the couch watching it with the family and stuff, I really realized how lucky we were to come out of there unscathed.
I thought we were dead. So did my brother.
If you want to watch more amazing videos, then we have a link for you.
Just click the links in the description to watch the full episodes on Google Drive and the Internet Archive, or use the links to archive the show yourself if you want to.
Take advantage of this in case this show becomes lost media, so you can watch more amazing videos today.
Normandy, France. Television cameras are on hand to capture a death-defying stunt. Daredevil Jean-Louis Arola is about to attempt a dangerous mid-air plunge into the frigid waters of the English Channel. The risky maneuver calls for him to drop from the plane as it speeds above the surface of the water. Jean-Louis carefully climbs out and secures himself to the belly of the fuselage. The aircraft approaches the drop zone. Then, he releases his harness. But something goes wrong. He slams across the surface of the water. And now, he's not moving. Another look at the ill-fated stunt reveals that the plane was traveling much too fast. Jean-Louis drops from the aircraft at more than 80 miles an hour. Hitting the water at this speed is like smashing into concrete. A rescue team quickly moves in and soon has Jean-Louis safely out of the water. No one could believe that he survived. But he did. Daredevil Ron Cook lives to break speed records. He's one of the fastest motorcycle riders on Earth.
The sensation of speed is just totally unreal. It's hard to describe. It's like getting shot out of a rocket.
Muroc Dry Lake Bed, California. Ron's goal is to top the 200-mile-per-hour land speed record. If successful, he'll be the all-time champion. As Ron tears across the desert floor, it looks like he's a sure thing to set a new record. But then, he faces the most terrifying moment of his life. Ron loses control of his bike and tries to leap off, but instead he's brutally dragged at 175 miles per hour.
The handlebar was shaking so bad I couldn't hang on any longer, and my thought process at that time was, I'm going to jump.
But Ron's bootstrap gets caught in the fender of the bike and he can't get free.
And I'm thinking the whole time, I got to get out of this mess because I'm going to get ground up. I did not want to get wrapped up in a 500-pound motorcycle tumbling down the lake bed.
The bike drags him 1,000 feet before he is able to free himself. Spectators are stunned to see Ron get up and walk away. The cycle mysteriously continues on without him. Meanwhile, Ron's friend, Patrick Palumbo, has been waiting at the finish line to photograph the record-breaking run.
He crashed at 175 miles per hour, and he walked away from the crash. You know, he was able to get up and walk away. And that alone is just unbelievable.
I thank the Lord that I'm still here with minor injuries, not too bad.
Although shaken by his near-death experience, Ron decides the best thing to do is to get right back on his bike and race again. 2 weeks later, Ron is ready for another run. Once again, he throttles up his cycle to nearly 200 miles per hour.
And I'm just willing. I know this is going to be a record run, and I'm going right through the finish line. Everything's looking good.
But once again, his bike starts to shake violently.
Rider down, everybody move.
Ron can't believe it's possible, but it's true. He's living the same terrifying nightmare all over again.
All of a sudden I hear a loud noise, and I see a cloud of smoke. Pieces flying left and right. I know Ron crashed. I don't know if he's alive, if he's dead, I have no idea.
Ron is violently thrown more than 600 feet.
Quite frankly, I knew he was not going to walk away.
It appears that there is no way he can survive this devastating crash, but he does.
When I finally came to a stop, I was flat on my back looking up at the bright sun and blue sky, and I said, well, am I alive? I didn't know.
During his 5-year racing career, this daredevil had never crashed. But now, in just 2 short weeks, he has stared death in the face twice. His injuries are serious. He suffers 3rd-degree burns on his back, a shattered arm, and a broken leg. The veteran racer decides not to tempt fate again.
I escaped death 2 times. I should have died on the second one for sure.
Sadly, Ron's racing days are over, but at least he's alive. Florence, Oregon. The carcass of an 8-ton Pacific gray whale washes up on the beach. Normally, the remains would be hauled out to sea or buried in the sand. But these people have decided to take a different approach. Dynamite. They plan to blow the creature to bits so the tiny fragments can be consumed by seagulls and other scavengers along the shore. Blasting a whale to smithereens is a big story. So reporter Paul Lindman and a local news crew race to the scene to cover the event.
Dead on arrival, the beach near Florence. There was really kind of a carnival atmosphere there that day. Townspeople from Florence had come out. There were kids out there. I can remember people up in the dunes above the beach putting out picnics and getting ready to watch the show of this tremendous exploding whale.
Engineers load a half-ton of dynamite underneath the massive mammal, believing this will blow most of it out to sea. Moments before the detonation, Paul interviews George Thornton, the man behind the bizarre plan.
Well, I'm confident that it'll work. The only thing is we're not sure just exactly how much explosives it'll take to disintegrate this thing.
So just to be sure, the engineers decide to add some more dynamite.
This seems like an awful lot of stuff. I mean, we're talking boxes of TNT.
With the explosives in place, curious onlookers are moved back a quarter of a mile from the site. Then, the command to fire.
All right, Fred, you can take your hands out of your hips. Here comes pieces of
But excitement soon turns to terror as 200-pound chunks of whale meat plummet from the sky.
I am conscious of a sound that I haven't heard before, and it's going thunk, 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 and it increases in speed. And I realize the sound that I am hearing is pieces of blubber hitting the ground around me.
We suddenly were scared. It changed from sort of a carnival atmosphere into one of, my gosh, this is panic.
hunks of rotten meat don't fly toward the ocean as expected. The crew used too much dynamite, causing the blubber to rain down on spectators as far as 1,500 feet away.
When it ended, we were covered with that whale. I looked down at a dark beige raincoat. It was bright pink.
The overwhelming sense is the smell. It is crippling. I mean, it's disorienting.
Incredibly, the only casualty is this car. Its roof flattened by a massive slab of whale meat. Half of the carcass remains intact and has to be buried under the sand. It takes 2 months for the stench to go away, but the memory of the whale will last a lifetime.
Every time somebody comes up and says, "Tell me about the whale." Yeah, I'll tell you about the whale. That's a story I'll never forget.
These were the incredible true stories of people who faced the ultimate danger and lived to tell about it. Join us next time for more of the world's most amazing videos.